Nah, come on, hang on.
Sheriff of Nottingham. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, nah, troll.
Animals can be used and exploited as we please. So
yeah, boy. Interestingly, there's more protein in the vegan one than there is the corpse one. Piers Morgan, an absolute cringe lord. He's just destroyed the vegan community. Shall we see how? I am ready.
Don't take my language. Don't pretend your sausage roll's a real sausage roll. Shut up and go away.
I don't understand the discourse and the contention with calling things like sausage rolls when they're not those things, because nobody has a problem with peanut butter and nobody has a problem with like hot dogs. They're not dogs. You know, peanut butter is not butter. You know, toad in the hole. There's no toad in any hole. It's a pig. It's just a ridiculous criticism. And a refusal to understand that language evolves with time and with the culture that it's married to. So I don't get it. I don't get why you're whinging, Piers, other than for the sake of whinging, because you're just a whinge pipe.
Don't come into your gruel restaurants ever and shout about what you do to the bee community in California.
So gruel restaurants. Gruel restaurants. Okay, well, you know, while we're on the topic like Earthling Ed's here, let's have a look at Unity Diner, right? That's his gruel restaurant. How dare you try and serve this gruel? That's gruel, straight up. That's gruel there. More gruel. Let's have a look. I want to see the gruel menu. More gruel. Fried gruel. Popcorn gruel. Gruel. Oh, disgusting. Make it stop.
Piers Morgan recently appeared on the Diary of a CEO podcast because he's now making media appearances again due to his new TV show where he promises to tell it like it is, which is perhaps the most boringly predictable thing ever. But anyway, in the podcast, Piers talks about the vegan...
I love people who model themselves on telling it like it is when they just say absolute dog shit. It's like, okay, well, you've set yourself up to say it like it is, and then you just utter nonsense.
And sausage roll that was released by Greggs because, well, he's Piers Morgan, so of course he does. Although it must be said, if one of the things that makes you notable as an individual is your continuous dislike of a vegan sausage roll that was released over 3 years ago, then it suggests there's not that much interesting or notable about you.
And I saw Greg saying, the wait is over. Finally, it's here, the vegan sausage roll. I said, what on earth are you talking about? Who's been waiting for a vegan sausage roll? Apart from anything else, I agree with the French, where it's illegal to market vegetarian or vegan products using meat language. A sausage roll is meat. If vegans want to eat their gruel, fine. Go and have a joyless existence munching your lentils. Don't take my language. Don't pretend your sausage roll's a real...
You're such a sensitive little snowflake. It's unbelievable.
Sausage roll. The French have made it illegal. You can't use meat language to sell vegan products. I think we should go the same way. You have your world, and we'll have ours.
So what do we call them? If it looks exactly like a sausage roll, as the Greggs vegan sausage roll does, what do you want us to call it? I can't wait.
So the free speech pioneer is trying to censor language.
That's the thing. Piers is like, oh, you should be able to say whatever you want to say, and then he's crying over, you're stealing my language. You know, it's just like people who have no grasp of like language and its utility whatsoever, crying over it constantly. It's just ridiculous.
Language and speech and dictate what words others can use. Funny that. Now, this argument is a really tired and old argument, and to be honest, I kind of thought that we'd moved past this argument by this point, but that's something you'll notice about the arguments that Piers uses. They're not arguments that he's created himself or arguments he's spent time actually reflecting on and critically analysing. They're just sensationalist arguments that get lots of conversation in the media.
Yeah.
Now, I doubt that Piers is actually that bothered that vegan sausages get called sausages. Moreover, the reason I think that he uses this argument is because it's something that appears in the press, or at least it used to quite a lot until fairly recently, and because it's a topic of conversation that causes outrage amongst a lot of people. And because Piers is a contrarian, those are the arguments that he's interested in, ones that cause outrage. This is why he says he's against vegan sausages being called sausages, but doesn't also say that he's against peanut butter being called butter, even though peanut butter isn't actually butter. No. This is also the reason that he refers to lentils as being gruel.
Go and have a joyless existence munching your lentils.
Nobody thinks lentils are gruel. Lentils are obviously great, and Piers himself...
I can't even remember the last time I ate lentils. Man, your imagination is dead. I hope I don't become old and bitter and lose my imagination, like Piers.
Probably eats lentils. But this is one of the things that Piers does. He uses specifically inflammatory language so that he creates an over-the-top response to the things that he's talking about. And by creating an over-the-top response, he creates a fabricated sense of outrage, saying, oh, you know, eat lentils if you want to eat lentils. It doesn't really cause any outrage. But calling lentils gruel and saying that vegan food is disgusting and saying that vegans are hypocrites and they should just enjoy their gruel in peace is an over-the-top response which creates outrage, which he has fabricated and riles everyone up. One of the things that I often find really confusing about the conversation around Piers Morgan is when people say that they admire him for speaking his mind or for telling it like it is or for not being afraid of voicing his opinion. It's like we've lost all ability to critically analyze a situation and to analyze someone's motivations behind the way that they're acting. Piers isn't telling it like it is. He says the things that he says because it's the only thing that keeps him relevant. He's putting on a persona precisely because that persona is something that makes people interested in him. He's not speaking his mind or telling it as it is. He's saying the things that create outrage and anger because outrage and anger get people to listen and rile people up, which makes them emotionally invested in what he is saying. He's literally saying things because they draw attention to him, not because they necessarily reflect any substantiated viewpoint. Case in point, in the summer of 2020, Piers Morgan criticised a Labour MP who joined one of the BLM protests in the UK, calling him irresponsible and reckless. But then, the next day, it transpired that Piers' own son also joined a BLM protest in London, at which point Piers said that he was very proud of his son. Or could it be that Piers is simply an unprincipled contrarian who isn't actually voicing his opinion, but is...
Imagine standing for nothing in particular. You're just in the way. Just get out of the way. And, you know, causing problems for the sake of it. That's your motive. God, it's void of meaning.
Things to create attention around himself. Ironically, one of the only times that Piers has actually played a more nuanced and real performance of himself was during his CNN talk show, which was cancelled by CNN for low ratings, which kind of says it all, doesn't it?
Do I care? Look, I don't care as much as I do about Ukraine, but in the moment, it really annoyed me that there was a presumption we'd all been waiting for a vegan sausage roll. And I was also annoyed that you were seeing...
Well, I mean, it's been a massive seller. So it was under the presumption, not that everyone's waiting for one, necessarily, but that it would be popular. And it has been. And it remains on the shelves. So, oops.
Stories of vegans charging into state restaurants and playing music of cows being killed. It's like, shut up and go away. I don't come into your gruel restaurants ever and shout about what you do to the bee community in California when you eat your almond.
He is the ultimate crop deaths though person who can't see the irony of caring about that while not being vegan. It's painful. Like, how could you talk about, oh, what they're doing to the bees, oh, what they're doing to the insects, and forget, like, what Animal Ag does? I don't get it. It's pain.
It's an almond milk. Right? Billions of bees exterminated every year in a 6-week cull in California so vegans can eat almonds and eat avocados. Utter hypocrisy around vegans.
Yeah, vegans just eat avocados and almonds. That is just a vegan thing. In fact, non-vegans can't eat those things. Never. Not even once.
Vegan food that
not one. You're not going to find one.
Leaving the animals alone when they exterminate the little guys, the bees. And I feel sorry for the bees. No one you ever hear vegans talk.
Oh, you feel sorry for the bees. Do you eat honey? Probably. Would you have abstained from something containing honey? No, you wouldn't, would you? And you contribute to Animal Ag. So shut up. Oh my God. Do you think he believes what he's saying? Or does he know that it's so painfully idiotic, but lots of people believe it? Is that what it is?
Talking about bees here. It's always the big animals. They care about cows, not the little guys. I'm a little guy. I'm the Robin Hood of this debate. I look after the little guys against the sheriffs of Nottingham.
Sure.
Wait, sure. As if, like, I don't know if he believes himself. I can't tell. Like, that could be the face of someone who's so arrogant that they think they're right. But it could also be the face of someone of like, I'm so silly. I'm just such a troll. Like, which one is it? Help me understand. Yeah, come on. Nah, come on, hang on.
Sheriff's of Nottingham.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Nah, troll behavior. And it's so sad, right? Because right here, we have a I'm going to clip that face. That little face there. What a troll, right? It's just sad. Like, I love a meme. I love a little dungeon troll. You know, like, I got loads of little trolls in my life trolling about on a day-to-day basis, messing with my day. And I love that. Okay? I appreciate that. Don't get it twisted. But when we're talking about a situation where 100 billion plus animals every single year just fucked, it's like, okay, this isn't, can you just stop trolling for now? Because you're being a fucking dickhead if you do that while that's happening. Like that right there, just so we're aware, Piers, is saying it like it is. Don't you think? No? Okay.
So similar to the vegans using words like sausage to describe their food products, this one about almond production and bees is just another sensationalist media talking point, which Piers knows will create some form of outrage around what he's saying. Firstly,
yeah, we can't forget, like, Piers isn't an honest actor at all. We have had things in the past. I mean, would he do this now? I don't know, because his character doesn't seem to have changed. So, like, you know, the phone hacking scandal that he was part of.
Those bees are honeybees, which means they're bred by beekeepers who are actually using them for honey, but then rent them out to almond farmers so they can also make some extra money on the side. So if you're complaining about what happens to bees in almond farming, well then of course I'm sure you're against the honey industry in the US as well. And of course, don't buy honey produced by US farmers, because the reason those honeybees exist in the first place and are rented to almond farmers is because of the honey industry. Also, I'm not necessarily sure what Piers is referring to with the 6-week cull remark. The main cause of death for bees is due to the chemicals and pesticides that are used in the agricultural system in the US, not because of some deliberate cull. And importantly, if you don't like how almonds are produced in California, then simply don't buy almonds that are produced in California. It's not a requirement of veganism to buy Californian almonds. It's very easy to avoid doing so. So if you don't like it...
Whoa, Earthling Ed is just lying to your face right now. When I, went to the Coven to get my, degree in veganism, I had to put a stock in the Californian honeybees. It's disgraceful. Like, let's just be honest about the things that we had to do to graduate our vegan school. Like, come on. You've got to be honest about these things.
Just don't pay for it. And instead, you can consume something like oat milk, because oats self-pollinate and they don't require any bees in that process. So I guess that means that Piers Morgan can now be vegan, considering he doesn't
again, no, there's only like a handful of plants. If we have a problem with a certain plant, we're going to have the same problem with every plant, obviously. Just, the dishonesty from the vegans. Again, the vegan propaganda, it's just the brain frog. It really does affect. Oh, God,
to buy
I just can't believe
Californian almonds after all. Or, potentially, as the case might be, Piers is saying what he says not because he actually cares about bees, but because he's more interested in portraying vegans as hypocrites. And people always make these appeal to futility arguments where they say things like, veganism isn't perfect, so you're a hypocrite. And of course, the reality is veganism isn't perfect. Nothing is perfect. But what veganism is a reduction of the harm that we are causing, both environmentally and ethically. And on the point of bees being used for pollination, how do you think the animal feed that is pollinated? People go, oh, it's so terrible that all of these bees are being used to pollinate almonds in California to make almond milk, whilst at the same time overlooking that these same bees are used to pollinate alfalfa, which is a primary food source used in the dairy industry for dairy
Wrong. Animals don't eat plants, okay?
cows, and as a consequence these bees are used, exploited and killed to pollinate feed that is used for dairy cows, who are obviously used to produce cow's milk. So I guess that means that bees being used for almond milk is bad, but bees being used for cow's milk is absolutely fine. People don't make these kinds of arguments because they actually care about the well-being of bees. Case in point, the majority of the almonds that are grown and consumed are consumed by non-vegans. These arguments are made because people are desperate to find any Achilles heel in the vegan argument, anything that suggests that they might be wrong. And look, is the agricultural system ideal? No, of course it's not. But the agricultural system that we have now was created with the mindset that animals don't deserve moral consideration and can be used as we please for things that we want. The whole agricultural...
Oh, you smell that? You smell the bars being spat right now? Oh, I love it.
Cultural system was created using that mindset. And so now vegans are ironically being accused of hypocrisy because of an agricultural system that was created by non-vegans and was created by non-vegans who have the mindset that animals can be used and exploited as we please. So
Yeah, boy.
just to simplify the argument right down, the reason why vegans are hypocrites and being vegan is bad, and as a consequence, doing all the things that we do to animals currently is morally justified, is because in California, almond farmers who are not vegan work with beekeepers who are obviously not vegan to create almonds, the vast majority of which are consumed by non-vegans.
Yes. This is exactly why vegans are disgusting hypocrites. And I can see some disgusting vegans in my chat. And you should be ashamed of yourself, to be honest.
If you really cared, you could avoid in the first place. That's the reason why being vegan is bad and hypocritical.
But the whole thing just showed me that everyone was allowed to love vegan sausage rolls, but if you deviated from that and said you hated them, you had to be destroyed. This wasn't acceptable.
No, it's not that. It's the insistence that you're not doing anything morally wrong when you directly pay for a rights violation of another sentient being. And it's not that you must be destroyed. We're trying to stop individuals from being destroyed, Piers. But yeah, your argument must be murked out of existence because the argument that you have enables rights violations to occur. And on a scale that we just have never seen in any other context. 100 billion every single year. Individuals just because people like you think the terrible things you think. It's absolutely beyond me, like, that we exist in this climate where you're absolutely insane if you are someone who sees the gravitas of 100 billion plus animals being killed every single year, being exploited, tortured, used, commodified. Like, people in general society would look at me like a fucking crazy person. I mean, they're not wrong. But not by proxy of what I do.
The woke brigade had decided vegan sausage rolls were untouchable. You had to support them. You had to think they were great. This was brilliant.
Oh, Piers, nobody tried to...
No, you didn't, because some vegans didn't like the concept of the vegan sausage roll. What are you talking about? God, you're just so off the mark. And I just don't know how it happens constantly, especially by someone who prides themselves on saying it how it is. Bruh. Yeah, it has to be troll. Troll,
because you didn't like the Greg's vegan sausage roll. You were being mocked because you made a fool out of yourself. You weren't being cancelled. You were being laughed at.
Delicious, actually.
Because they've got the same seasoning.
Oh, God.
Like, that's just cringe and baby-like. Like, I can see you clearly don't like this. I'm really not putting this on. It's actually really nice, but I can't say, because otherwise I'd have to concede.
Like them.
come
They've
on.
got nice crisp pastry.
Yeah.
The vegetarian sausage is nicely flavoured.
And for someone who likes to complain about victim
Yikes.
mentalities, Piers Morgan sure
Yikes.
does a good job
Of being a
portraying
baby.
himself as a victim.
Even though they're bad for you, literally worse for you than a McDonald's cheeseburger in terms of salt and calorie intake.
And of
Okay, yeah, but how good is a meat sausage roll made of the corpses? How good is that? Troll, straight up. 100%.
course, the Greggs vegan sausage roll is bad for you. It's not meant to be the equivalent
Oh, yeah,
of
wow.
a kale salad.
Yeah,
It's meant
no, like, this just in, sausage rolls aren't fucking good for you. Like, wow.
to be the equivalent of a meat-based sausage roll, which is precisely what it is. And this is how you know that Piers makes bad faith arguments, because nobody thinks that the Greggs vegan sausage roll tastes disgusting and the regular Greggs sausage roll tastes amazing. They taste almost identical, a point which is recognised by so many people, hence why so many people like the Greggs vegan sausage roll, precisely because it is such a good substitute. Even nutritionally, in terms of calories and salt, the two things that Piers Morgan seems to be really concerned about, the Greggs vegan sausage roll is almost identical in both those regards to the non-vegan sausage roll also sold at Greggs, because that's what it's meant to be replicating. It's not supposed to be healthy. Why on earth would it be? And just to end on a slightly more serious point, Piers wants to talk about hypocrisy. And there's probably a good reason why he's so eager for his persona to be defined by things like outrage around the vegan sausage roll, rather than defined by actual controversial issues that he has been somewhat associated with, such as the time that he was fired as the editor of the Daily Mirror because they published faked photographs of supposed torture in the Middle East. Turned out that actually those photographs were taken in the north of England, not the Middle East, and were a hoax. Or how when he was the editor of the Daily Mirror, illegal phone hacking was taking place. Now, Piers
we
denies
talk
all
about that, won't
knowledge
we?
of the phone hacking and yet
of course.
oversaw articles that were published with information that only was obtained and only could have been obtained because of the phone hacking. And actually, lawyers who are currently working on behalf of some of the victims of the phone hacking that took place at the Daily Mirror during the time when Piers was the editor have said that there is no way that he couldn't have known about it, and that it's inconceivable that he wouldn't have been aware of where this information was coming from. But I'm sure Piers is just another victim of cancel culture. And I wonder if complaining about having your phone illegally hacked by a newspaper is also just another example of the virtue signalling woke brigade in action. So that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed my responses to...
Okay, this is the disgusting corpse one, which, you know, big ups. Love a good corpse. And this is the vegan one, okay? So the vegan one on the right, slightly less calories per portion. You got 303, but 328 in the corpse one. You have a few more grams of fat in the corpse one. Weirdly, more carbs in the corpse one. Interestingly, there's more protein in the vegan one than there is the corpse one. There is 0.2 grams more of salt in the vegan one. Sorry, you get more protein in that, less calories for 0.2 grams more of salt. Bruh, on the kind of macros or anything like that. And this one's got like less allergens in it. It hasn't got a corpse in it. That one's winning on all marks. Well, trolls be trolling, dishonestly. It's classic. Yeah, all the doctors recommend sausage rolls because they're just so good for you.